My son Micah has been missing for about 8.5 months. The last day that I saw Micah was March 15th, 2018. He asked me for a ride. So this is an area up in East Bakersfield where we last saw Micah. When I picked him up, another individual was with him. They asked me to drop him off across town. He didn't want me to drive down the street where they were walking. They walked this way. These were the apartments they were actually going to. The last place I saw him was right there in front of that dumpster. 2 days later, Micah called me and asked me if I could put his friend up in a hotel for that night. And I said, I can't do that. He began raising his voice, and at that point, I hung up. That was the last time I talked to him. About 10 days later, we started getting phone calls from friends of Micah. They were worried about him. They hadn't heard from him. On April 4th, we filed a missing persons report. We met with his landlord, and he showed us his room, and everything was in order. He had left a lamp on, and he just looked like he was going to walk back in. I believe my son was killed. I think Micah's disappearance is absolutely related to James's murder and Bailey's disappearance.
Well, so who are Bailey and James, and what is their alleged connection to Cheryl's son, Micah?
My son, James, was shot on April 8th at approximately 1:15 in the morning. Last time I saw James was at 10 p.m. on April 7th. He was going out, and I asked him where he was going. He goes, I'm going outside to smoke. I said, well, I'm going to bed. I love you. And he goes, I love you. And that was the last time I saw him. A little after 1 o'clock in the morning, I received a call from my son, Ryan. He said, Mom, James has been shot. My son, Steven, drove me to the scene. I tried to go through the yellow caution tape, and I was screaming, I need to get to my son. I need to see my son. And then the policeman said that he'd expired. I believe that my son was set up to be murdered. 4 days after James died, one of their friends told me that my life's in danger. I would describe myself as heightened alert. When I drive, I'm looking over my shoulder. I try not to be out after dark. I believe that Micah and Bailey are connected.
It was about 2 weeks after James was murdered, Bailey disappeared. My daughter Bailey was 20 years old when she disappeared on April 25th, 2018. Last time I talked to her in person was on April 23rd. I called her and said, hey, I'm gonna bring you home some churros, and she was really excited for that. And she opened the door and she grabbed the churros. She's like, no, I gotta go back in the house. So I said, okay, call me later. That was the last time I saw her in person. I was texting her, Bailey, you need to call me, where are you? When I didn't get her, I went over to the house and said, is Bailey here? And one of the teenage boys said no. After 6 days, I filed the missing persons report. I've done everything I possibly can think of to try to find her. I hang flyers. One of these rolls, I can hang up about 15 signs. Posted over 3,000 flyers. I found out doing them back to back works best. I believe that Bailey's disappearance, Micah's disappearance, and James's murder, they're all connected.
I'm bonded with Jane and Cheryl. Once one of them is solved, I feel like all three will be solved.